Hello, hi everyone. How have you been? It's been a while since I've done a video. It's been on my mind to do a video, but I just keep putting it off and things get in the way and I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. But today I decided it's the day to do it because I really want to talk about this topic. It's been on my heart, on my mind a lot, especially because of the holidays. For those that struggle or have struggled with depression in the past, this time of the year, which is a very beautiful time for many, for some can be very triggering and hard if they are going through depression. So I wanted to talk about it. One of the reasons that I wanted to discuss depression is because even though I specialize mostly with young adults that have anxiety, depression goes hand in hand with anxiety a lot of times. They kind of like to go together. So a lot of times, probably half of my clients that have anxiety also have some form of depression. And then there's some that don't, but it's very common that depression exists with anxiety. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it. And the other reason is that I talk to people, not just here in the office, but in the community that love someone who is going through depression. So today I just wanted to talk about what is it, to talk about some symptoms, and I will be doing this video in Spanish. After I close this video, I'll do another one in Spanish for those that only speak Spanish. You can share it with your loved ones. I just want to talk about clinical depression as well, because there is the feeling of sadness, and then the feeling of depression, which is a different dimension of sadness. But so we'll use a term like I'm feeling depressed or to express an extreme sadness. But what I'm going to talk about today is the mental health condition of depression, a clinical medical term, and what it signifies, what that means. And so I just want to start with some statistics. It says that 20 to 25% of Americans in a given year, so that's 1/4 of the population, will suffer or go through an episode of depression in their, in a given year. In a lifetime, that's about 7% of the population have had at least one major depressive episode in the past year, and that's about 60 million Americans. And only half of those people will get help, which is, I think the saddest part is that there is treatment for depression. There is a lot of ways to get help, but only half of the people will. And as you know, suicide is one of the consequences of, depression, treated or untreated. People who commit suicide is because of a depressive episode. And so I wanted to talk about suicide for a little bit. That the two most alarming statistics for me is that 123 people a day take their life by suicide in the United States. And so that is about every 12 minutes, someone will commit suicide, take their life by suicide. So that's pretty alarming that every 12 minutes somebody is taking their life somewhere in the United States because of depression. And so this makes this topic very urgent. It can be uncomfortable to talk about it, or even to live with it. Imagine to talk about it, live with it, and then have someone you love be struggling with it. But the most important thing is awareness is key, which is why I do these videos, is so that we can have awareness and start talking about it and reduce the stigma. Because if we don't talk about it, then we can't confront the issue. So we have to start by talking about it. So another two statistics I wanted to share is that although depression doesn't discriminate. Anybody can suffer depression. Doesn't matter your race, sex, gender, your financial, status. Nobody's exempt from depression, but women are 70% more likely to experience depression, and young adults, ages 18 to 25, are 60% more likely. So for me, working with this population, it's pretty critical and important to share this information, because I think a lot of times we can ignore these symptoms in our adult children, or our friends, and just kind of minimize them. But really, people are suffering all around us, and they really need somebody to talk to them about it. So let's talk real quick about symptoms. So there's about 9 symptoms of depression that can occur, and this looks different for many people, right? Everybody, there's not just one way that depression looks. Some people are able to work, some people are able to, function in society with depression. Some people have chronic depression, meaning they've had it years and years and they've just learned to live with it. But I'm going to talk about the 9 symptoms, and it's changes in sleep. So whether it's sleeping too much or sleeping or not sleeping enough, basically anything that's changed from the norm, from the pattern of sleep is a symptom. Changes in appetite, again, eating more than usual or not eating enough or eating a lot less than usual. So any changes in appetite can be a symptom of depression. Lack of concentration, this is a pretty common one. And, even if you think about, like, if we're sad about something or if we're depressed for a day, how hard it can be to concentrate on what the task is at hand in front of us, right? Like our mind is just like if it was someone else, somewhere else. So imagine having that all the time, not being able to concentrate at work or at school or with homework, with house chores, it can be very, very overwhelming not to be able to concentrate on the things that we're used to doing. Loss of energy, again, it's a lot more, usually depression is, very kind of slow, like not moving, you kind of want to lay around on the couch, lay around, take a nap, it's a lot of just sitting around. Lack of interest in things that used to be interesting. So this is one of the first things that you can notice with your loved ones or yourself, is that things that used to bring you pleasure no longer bring you the same pleasure, and then you've lost interest completely in those things. It can be hobbies or relationships, anything really that used to, kind of make us go, now don't really do anything for us. Low self-esteem, and depression can get you in the cycle of failure, because you're feeling so unmotivated and so like not yourself, and then that makes you feel bad about yourself because you think you should be strong. You get this myth a lot, like I should be stronger than this, or I should be strong for my family, or this is a weakness, so that creates low self-esteem in itself. Like not recognizing like I need help and I have a problem is going to lead you to feel like low about yourself. So low self-esteem is another symptom. Hopelessness, not being able to see past the problem, not being able to see the way out of the problem. Extreme hopelessness can be a symptom of depression. Changes in movement, like I said, with the loss of energy, just moving a lot slower throughout your day, taking a lot more time to complete a task. And again, people will describe it as like, I'm just not myself, today, or, I haven't been myself for a while, but typically it's you can observe this. And these are symptoms you can observe in your loved ones, movement, loss of energy can start to make you think like, what else could be going on with them? And the 9th symptom is physical aches and pains. So actually, our bodies and minds and spirits are connected. And so severe depression can be felt physically as well, saying, that feeling like aches and pains in the body, everything hurts, this hurts, that hurts, can be tied to the soul part of us, right? Our emotions. And so that's another symptom. So this is 9 symptoms of depression. The more severe the depression, there can also be some psychotic features like seeing things, hearing voices, things like that. And, the more severe, the more psychotic it can get. But so there's like 4 levels of depression. It can be anywhere from mild, moderate, major, and severe. Severe and psychotic. So there's about 4 levels of a depressive episode that there can be. So to be considered a clinical depression, 5 of these 9 symptoms have to be present for at least 2 weeks, I guess, over 2 weeks of these symptoms being present, then there is a clinical medical condition of depression. And so what the key here is to not wait for 2 weeks, but the sooner you get help, the better the prognosis, and I'm going to do the same thing with the anxiety. The videos that I did with today, I'm just going to talk about symptoms, and I'll go live next week and talk about the causes, and then I'll do a 3rd video talking about treatment. But I can tell you now that if you recognize these symptoms in yourself or someone you love, the sooner you get help, the better. And so what does help look like? It could be talking to a therapist like myself, going to counseling, or medication. And again, everybody has different beliefs about medication. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to talk about my beliefs about it, but I've seen it work for people. So it just depends on you and your where you're coming from. But research-based medication and therapy together are the best outcome for depression. but it also says and or. So some people choose to do medication and not the counseling. Some people do the counseling and not the medication. But if you notice these symptoms in yourself or someone else, don't wait. Don't wait until it passes. You know, often we say it's just a phase. You know, it's just it'll pass. You know, we just kind of ignore the problem. But really, like, just seeing these symptoms for what they are and talking to the person saying, do you need help? Or examining yourself if this is you and saying, is it time to go talk to someone about this? And again, the sooner you get help, the better. Waiting for a long time can make things harder and worse. Not to say that it's impossible, but it's going to be a lot more work in the long run to try to recover from a depression. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. If this has been helpful to you, give me a thumbs up, share in the comments, or message me if you have a particular question about depression. Share this with your family and friends if it's been helpful. And I will be back next week to talk about what causes it. And we'll learn a little bit more about destigmatizing depression. And it's not something people choose. I mean, if you think about these symptoms, who would choose to feel this way? But actually talking about what causes it. So thank you very much. I'll be back in a short while, probably in a few minutes, to do this in Spanish. Thanks and have a great day. Have a great weekend.